Okay, right now I think we will move on to another lecture with lawyer Lama Jamal. It's a lawyer at Advocate Isam Al Jamal office. She is an expert in commercial and civil law, hold a master business administration and diploma in the public professional program in public relation from Europe International University. And she's a 2090 JCI Damascus local, local president, an international youth volunteering organization, an active social advocate for the women empowerment, children rights, equality, and justice. Her current research interests are in the area of human rights, entrepreneur, and enterprises. Okay, just a minute to connect with her. She will contact from my PC actually, so I think there is a problem in connection. Just a minute, sorry. Sorry for that.
Dr. Kinda, like she's ready or? There is sound or I cannot hear or what? Everyone are here?
Yeah, we can understand.
But it seems, I mean, she's not here. Dr. Kinda, are you here?
I didn't. I don't hear either.
Yeah. Just I don't know what happened here.
I think you open two laptops or two desk. I think you must to turn off one from them.
Good right now?
Yeah. Yes.
Everyone hear me?
Thank you. Yes, it's good. You can go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, so welcome to lower Lama, so please, right now.
Hello, everyone. Hope you will enjoy the next 30 minutes with me. So we are all good. Can you hear me? Can you see the presentation? Everything is good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let's go then. Uh, as we are talking about children, we cannot ignore the role of laws and regulations in the protection, supporting, and empowerment of children. On the top of regulations comes the UN Convention on Rights of the Children, which was adopted on 1989 as a core human rights treaty, ratified by nearly all states. CRC ensured for the children is a human being and an individual with rights. Syria became a signatory to the Convention of the Rights of the Children in July 15, 1993. So let's talk about. So you can see here some of the children's rights ratified by the convention, and let's go for the Syrian children before. It's obvious for all around in the world that the core investment in children is in both education and health. So those were priorities for Syria before the crisis. Accordingly, the country has succeeded to achieve significant reduction in rates of children mortality. Moreover, education before crisis of Syria recorded almost 100% enrollment in primary school, 700% of children attending secondary schools. Accordingly, according to 2004 census in Syria, literacy rate was 79.6%, with 73.6% of women literated. That's a huge for the MENA region and the area, the Arab countries. You know, in the Arab countries, most of the women aren't educated. There is a high percentage of women get married early or not finish their education. So for Syria, it was like going fast in the Arab world. I can leave you here with some statistics that economic and social statistics of the countries and territories of the world, which particular reference to children well-being by UNICEF 2019. You can see numbers about Syria. Let's talk about let's talk about the under mortality rank, under 5 mortality rank. Let's talk about the infants with low birth weight. We can talk about population using improved drinking water, estimated adult HIV prevalence rate. You can talk about literacy rate, and we can talk about the population. Another two graphs will talk about the growth after war in Syria were done by the World Bank Group Development Economic Development Research Group 2019. We can see that there were projections and the reality were low behind them. So the core of our presentation or the core of our course is the war generation needs and hopes. So why do we aim for them? Where you are? Why do we have to do this today? Why we are here today, all of us. If you are interested in the situation in Syria, if you Googled every side of Syria's livelihood or everything about Syria, you will see the huge difference between the Syria before the crisis and Syria during the crisis and now in 2020. Or 2020 or 2020, as we say it. The 9 years of war have destroyed a lot, both stones and humans, and accordingly, they have a disastrous impact on the lives of children. Report says that in 2019, many children were not safe or do not feel safe. Their future were challenged. The rapidly evolving context required key actors in the Syria response to adapt and look beyond short-term access-oriented responses. Urgent reflection is needed to design longer-term and sustainability strategy and sustainable strategies to make up for the loss of human capital. Innovative approaches need to be explored to ensure children and youth continue to be protected and have opportunities to engage in meaningful learning and that provides them with the skills necessary to build a peaceful and prosperous future for themselves, their families, and their communities. Here I go for some initiative called No Long Generation Initiative, which was launched in 2013, led by UNICEF and World Vision. It is a strategic framework for a response to the Syria and Iraq crisis embedded within existing planning, coordination, and report structure. No Longer Generations Initiative 2020 report about Syria mentions the below. They took many facts about children cases and children statistics here in Syria. So let's talk about first education and protection for Syria children and youth. Overall participation in formal and non-formal education. So inside Syria, two-thirds of the school's age population are esteemed over 5 million school-aged Syrian children are enrolled in formal and non-formal education. That leaves one-third or nearly 3 million school-aged Syrian children without education, with more than 4% in the age range of 15 to 17 years. And that's if we can mention compared to 100 enrollment before crisis. If we can talk about the situation before the crisis. In addition, no, but at least we have to admit hope when there is one. 2000 reports indicate that schools enrollment in Syria 2017-2018 increased compared to 2016-2017 from 3.7 million to 4.1 million. In addition, over 520,000 children benefited from regulated non-formal education programs such as catch-up classes or self-learning programs. Secondary schools and TVET. Okay, this schedule will show you the education snapshots in the 5 years in the host countries, December 2018 and December 2017. And this chart is talking about the Syrian refugees in the 5 host countries around Syria, who has the most or the hugest number of the refugees around the world. So we're talking about Turkey, Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq, and Egypt. Let's talk about secondary technical application and vocational education and training. Secondary school and TVET programs in Syria are well known before the crisis, but the crisis reduced the number of enrollment into secondary schools, but lately has shown the importance of TVET programs to empower youth and give them the opportunity for a respected way to earn living. While in the hosting countries, over 700,000 1,100 Syrian youth in Syria are almost. Oh, sorry, Lala. Sorry. Okay. In Syria are almost 100 civilian youth in the host countries enrolled in TVET program. However, a total of 17 of 170 youth and enrollment in the TVET only represents a fraction of Syria's youth in 2018. Why do we keep mentioning the refugees? Sooner or later, the refugees will come back to Syria. They will take their path away, and maybe not all of them, but we need to take into consideration all reports and statistics that concern Syrian refugees around the world, and count them while planning the future of Syria. Because after all, there is a huge number of Syrian people around the world. They are not in Syria. They are in the host countries, or maybe they are in Europe. They are in Canada. They are in the US, maybe. So let's talk about gender disparities and children with disabilities. Both in the host countries and in Syria, gender parity index for the gross enrollment ratio shows the disadvantage for boys. In Syria, GPI is estimated to be 1.1 in 2018 compared to 1.03 in 1917, representing a decrease in enrollment of boys in comparison to girls. On the other hand, lack of readily available data on the state of children with disabilities is alarming and requires urgent attention. In some areas of Syria, one half of the children with a disability, 2/3 need health services that cannot be available in their areas. So everything is good as far as we go. Anything you need to be asked or something?
I have a question. Why are boys to be enrolled in school and girls?
I couldn't hear you. Could you please come again?
Why are boys less likely to be enrolled in schools than girls?
Maybe I can tell because they need the boys to go to work to earn money to make their family living or having money for living. Maybe that's one of the causes. Because most of the refugees or most of the people here in Syria lost their the earning man of the family, so they need all to work to get work. And as the situation in Syria is that safe to let women or girls go for work, they are forcing boys to go to work or they are all forced to let boys go to the work so they can eat their bread.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Any other question? No? Okay, so proceed. Let's proceed. So as we said, lack of credibility available data on the statistics of children with disabilities is alarming and requires urgent attention. Let's talk about the learning outcomes. In addition to access and participation, the quality of education and learning remains a concern in Syria and the 5 hosting countries. Although some progress has been made in Syria, the number of grade 9 examinations, that we have 2 levels of examinations we need to go before the university. We have the level 9 and we have the grade 9 and we have the grade 12. So there were increasements reported in 2016 compared in 2018 to 2017 2018 compared to 2016 2017. And the paragraph there shows some numbers that concern the latest years. we can talk about the importance of quality of education and learning in a concern and the teaching quality or in critical from importing learning outcomes. Teaching quality is critical for the improvement of learning outcomes. The latest wide-scale analysis of teachers' practices in northern Syria shows that while teachers are open to participatory practices underpinned socio-emotional well-being, extra support is needed to translate willingness into action. For example, only 38% of teachers stated that they often or always witness their colleagues use participatory methodologies, and only 57% of schools administrators screen children for special needs. Okay, so what are the barriers to participation and learning? The main barriers to participation and learning remain the socio-economic situation of refugee families, protections control concerns, including documenting implementing of restrictive policies, the impact of violence on children in the home, in schools, and in their surroundings. Another important issue we have to take into consideration in our studies is the children and the armed conflict in Syria. Children and armed conflict in Syria and in the Syrian Arab Republic reported documents grave violence against children in Syria carried out by all parties of the conflict between November 2013 and 2018. The findings are alarming. The United Nations verified through primary sources recruitment of and use of 3,377 children by 9 different parties to the conflict. They were recruited in compact roles. They were 30% of them were under age of 15, which constitutes a war crime. Killing of or injuring of total of 7,000, almost 7,000 children due to the airstrikes, shelling, impressive explosive devices, and suicide bombing. Attacks on 358 schools, killing and injuring at least 112 education persons. So, what are the rules of laws in recoding? Here we talk about ways forward and key priorities. As the region is facing complex economic and political challenges, all concerned parties need to continue their efforts to live up to the promise made of providing protection and learning pathways to Syrian children and youth, and stress the following priorities in the Syrian response. First, we have to reduce the socio-economic barriers to participation at the household level. So this concerns access to decent livelihood, training, and education. Second, we have to ensure inclusive education system that provide equality and reference for all, relevance for all. Sorry. So we have to strengthen and expand education system to ensure all youth and children are reached, plus develop skills for further learning, employability, active citizenship, and personal empowerment. Number 3, we have to be engaged in long-term planning for continuity, for protection and learning. So we have to prepare the continuity of protection and learning for children and youth and youth in 2019 and beyond. For these children and youth in the 5 host countries are those who will be returned to Syria through ROP-SAD scenario-based plans and legal and policy frameworks for the certification and recognition of learning, teaching where applicable across countries and across borders. We have to ensure and to protect the learning spaces. So what does that mean? We need no bombing. We need no attacks. We need no violence. We need to leverage schools as platforms to provide education and support. Number 5, we have to develop multi-flexible learning pathways to respond to the extensive and diversified needs of children and youth based on profiling of out-of-school children and youth. How do we do that? We have to analyze the root causes of the problem. We have to provide options to re-engage all the stakeholders, and we have to engage the upper graduates, maybe the upper experts, maybe, so we can make this connection between the children and the older community and let them take the benefit from them. We have to generate evidence and knowledge by improving monitoring systems and strategies, then share and know more about different experiences, data and relevant studies. So we can build a common ground between all stakeholders, so all can define the same problems, challenges, and share the same perspective to solve them. Always remember the money. The fund is something you cannot do anything without. So, secure medium and long-term financing, ensure adequate financing and sustainable schemes to support host countries' education system, including the system in the countries that is done by UN agencies, maybe. So, how can laws and regulations effectively take their part in recoding? We have to admit that post-war actions in Syria are all being and will be generated by legislative decrees and laws, especially when it comes to rebuilding and reconstruction. And hereby I mention legislative decree number 66, and the number here is wrong. It's 66 for the year 2017, which took the lead in lining up the basics of planning slums in certain areas of Damascus and Damascus countryside. So a legal engine is for granted. So how can we reach the suitable law decree in order to create friendly environment that meets all stockholders' in concerns and interests, in addition to maximize efficiency, gravity, and sustainability in the children ecosystem? The first step, before the lower decree issue, we will need to demonstrate of demographic distribution factors, gender, level of education, level of homogeneity. We need to make a stakeholder analysis, a stakeholder impact analysis, so we can weight the ideas of every stakeholder to contribute in this rebuilding process. We need to do the right suitable to pick up the right suitable hypothesis. We need to pick up the right research, the right survey, and the right analysis tools. We need to do a heat map so we can start on the phases that we need to do the first and the most. We have to build a prototype upon all the results we get from the steps before this one, And we need to study our gap analysis depending on the prototype we've built before. We have to do an investment impact analysis. We need to start with low-hanging fruits. Low-hanging fruits will give us a payback which will maintain the continuity of the program or the projects. Then we'll have the results. This all will form the law decree initial draft. The next step after the law decree issued, we will require involvement with the law enforcement oversight bodies or teams, crisis management teams that takes into consideration special cases and solutions, change management team, applying strategy, long march versus bold stroke. This one we will start thinking about what strategy we'll take in applying the law or the regulation. We will think about taking this project macro level or micro level, and this is how I say thank you for listening, and and I will be ready for any further question.
Okay, many thanks, Lama, and I don't know if there is anyone have any question or they need any more description about any things.
No, thank you. It was very nice, and we liked your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so right now we will be with Mahmoud.
Yes, very. I am thankful for your lecture and your time for informative to tell us about